Good afternoon or good morning, wherever you are. This is James Renouf with Storable, and I have with me today Greg Sane and Mike Buck. Mike's going to be doing the presentation today. So everyone, just let me know where you are. That'd be great to see it in the chat. And we're going to start this presentation shortly on unleashing the power of access control systems. Hopefully, can everybody see Mike's screen okay? And can you hear me okay? Just let me know in the chat if you can hear me and see the screen. That'd be great. And Mike, would you like to take it away?
Sure, James. Thanks. So, hello and welcome. Sure thing, James. Thanks. Hello, welcome everyone to today's webinar about how access control systems can improve facility security and bolster your business. As James mentioned, my name is Mike Buck, and the three of us are on the solutions architecture team here at Storable. Thanks for joining us today, and I'm excited to share some insights on the benefits of what an integrated access control system and what it can do for you. So let's get started. First, we have a few housekeeping items that we want to mention. Today's webinar is going to be 30 to 40 minutes long. We want to have plenty of time for questions at the end. Please use the live chat in GoToWebinar for any technical issues. We do have a team behind the scenes here that can help out with any issues. And if you're having some audio issues, there's an option in GoToWebinar to switch from computer audio to phone, and that can typically resolve those as well. And like I said, at the end, we want to have plenty of time to answer any questions that you might have. So during the presentation, feel free to type out any type of questions you have in the questions section. I'll do my best to get those answers for you. And if we do run out of time, we'll make sure to reach out afterwards and follow up with you. Also, if you're interested in anything we discussed today, please let us know in the chat and we'll reach out to you after this webinar. During today's presentation, we're going to talk about why access control is necessary for your business and what an integrated access control system needs to do in order to be effective. We'll contextualize where the industry is at this moment, what new technologies have emerged in the industry and what we can learn from them, and what Storable specifically brings to the table so your business can operate smoothly and take advantage of a fully integrated access control solution, increasing your operational efficiency and maximizing revenue. So first, let's talk about what business needs an integrated access control solution can help you address. Controlling access to your facility is a critical component of any self-storage business. You need to make sure active tenants can come and go during your facility hours with ease, while making sure that delinquent tenants and outsiders can't get in. This is where an access control system comes in. From the tenant's perspective, it's the keypad at the entrance that allows them to enter the secure facility. For the facility itself, it always includes a few common components. A controller typically located in the office, the gate or lock mechanism for the gate or door, and the keypad that the tenant accesses. As I mentioned earlier, an access control system can increase the facility's security and improve the tenant experience by making the storage facility accessible to your tenants, even outside of your traditional office hours. Okay, so as much as I don't want to mention it, the pandemic really did influence the self-storage industry. We saw customer behavior change in significant ways as in-person move-ins were brought to a halt during office closures. Tenants gravitated towards contactless and online move-ins exclusively during the pandemic. Now that the pandemic has passed and we've been able to resume normal operations, consumer behavior looks to have been changed permanently with prospective tenants, still searching and moving in online. Even though we're able to perform in-person rentals, we're now seeing those move-in workflows take advantage of the contactless features we put in place earlier during the pandemic. Now, having an integrated access control system at your property really ups the game from the tenant's perspective. Obviously, the tenant becomes more secure, and it appears that way to your tenants. It allows you, as the operator, to determine what hours and days you want your tenants to access a facility, and allows for multiple schedules as well. It also allows you to designate a non-traditional or a non-tenant, such as a maintenance worker, trash man, snowplow, or police and fire departments, to access a facility. It also allows you to determine the tenant's access code during that move-in workflow and gives you access to remotely control the access points, either through a remote connection to the computer running the third party's access account management software, or if you're using our Storable access control system directly from any browser that you've launched storEDGE in. Okay, so now let's talk about the features and limitations of both types of integrated access control systems. All right. So with locally based controller systems, as you can see by this chart, there are a lot of moving parts. First, you have a controller that's connected to each of your access points, the gate, the door, the roll-up door, etc. That local controller has an interface cable that connects to a computer that's on site, and it has to be up and running with the storEDGE gate interface service up and running as well. The purpose of that interface service is to pull the gate codes and lockout information from the storEDGE program and put it into a file that is incrementally consumed by the third party's software. That consume happens typically every 5 minutes. All right. The account management software that's provided by the access control provider is always a separate program running on the local computer in the office. Although there are some access control systems that allow for cloud-based updates to these controllers and that software, you're always going to find a local computer involved that is running the storEDGE interface service 24/7. The exception to this rule is our access control system, which is fully integrated into storEDGE and doesn't require the interface service at all. Again, we're going to cover more of that a little bit later on. Now let's take a look at cloud-based systems. With a cloud-based controller, any updates made to the storEDGE system is picked up either through the storEDGE interface service from other providers, right? Or directly if using our Storable access system that doesn't require that storEDGE interface service. The key advantages for using a cloud-based system is no need for an on-site computer. Only a computer running somewhere, if it's a third party's cloud system, that has that storEDGE interface service up and running. And if it's our access control system, no running computer or service is required at all. You can have tenants move in online, select the gate code, and their gate code will automatically work at the keypads that you want it to, without you having to log into storEDGE whatsoever. Now, it's important to realize that with non-storable access control, you're still going to need to configure and control the access zones and times, etc., in that third-party provider's web-based software, and use that software to update the tenants or remotely control the gates or doors. So let's take a little bit deeper dive into our access control solution and give you kind of an overview of the features and benefits that we can provide. Obviously, the ability to completely manage your access control system with only one program becomes a tremendous time saver, provides an easier access control management experience with all the features built into one application. With Access by Storable, we provide the only full and direct integration between your access control system and the storEDGE program. It's very easy to implement and manage and can return countless hours of time back to the manager in operational efficiency. The ability to call one support number for all your storEDGE questions, including access control, becomes a real game changer. No more do you have to troubleshoot an issue between storEDGE and a third party's access control provider. Our support team can handle it all, even those complex issues with your access control system. So let's take a look at some of the screenshots from storEDGE access control. Within storEDGE, you'll notice immediately there's a new icon on the left-hand side for our access control system. You'll select it and be taken to the access activity page immediately, where first thing you'll see is your ability to open, hold open, or close any of the access points at your property. You'll also see the access activity log that you can filter by either access denied or access granted, the name of the access point, as well as a date range. And you can export that filtered list any way you want to. This is also where you're going to be able to add those non-tenant codes. That's the police and fire, the maintenance guy, the trash collection, a snowplow service that you need directly here in the program. If you're using a third-party system, you typically have to create a unrentable unit and assign a tenant to them. Now, you have complete control of all the access groups that you need to create directly in the program, as well as the ability to define and set whatever days and hours you might need for that access group. So here on the left-hand side, we can see several access groups that we've created. And on the right-hand side is an example of one of those groups where you can see we have the ability to select both dates and times for any day of the week and any access point we want for that access group. Now, from the tenant's account inside of storEDGE, you can not only view individual gate activity, but you can also add any individual notes you might need to for that activity, such as allowed access for the tenant outside of normal operating hours. Also from the tenant's portion inside storEDGE, you'll now have the gate access tab. And this is where you'll have a single point of management for the tenant's access control properties. You'll be able to edit or change their gate code. You can define which of the predefined access groups they're going to have access to. storEDGE also supports the use of 26-bit HID type access cards or key fobs that we can provide for you. So you can sell those or pass those out to your tenants if that's something that you want the tenants to just be able to wipe in front of the keypad and gain access to a point. You can lock a tenant out on the fly, whether they're delinquent or not, in case you don't want them to get access to the property. Or you can make them lockout exempt, meaning if they go in delinquent or gate lockout, they're always going to be able to access the property no matter what. A real game changer for you as an operator is the gate activity notifications for texting that we set up for you. So not only will a tenant receive a notification when his code is allowed and granted access to an access point, or if it's been denied, but if that tenant is delinquent and he's hit that gate lockout stage of the delinquency stages, we can send him a text that says, you've been locked out because you're delinquent. And then we can provide them a link to the particular facility's tenant portal where they can log in, make a payment, and become current. And by the time that happens, their gate code will be automatically updated and they'll be able to access the property again. No more are you going to have tenants that can't get in and wonder why they can't get in, or have to call you as an operator and say, I can't get into the gate. Why? And you have to look it up and say, well, you're delinquent, you owe us money, and then have to take a payment over the phone. They can self-serve the entire payment process for delinquency directly when they access the system and they've been denied for delinquency through the sending of this text message. Okay, now within storEDGE, we also have the ability to directly notify you of whenever your access points are denied or granted. This is very similar to the phone pop-up messages, phone messages you might see pop up, or text messages that pop up. This is really useful if you as an operator have an office, but you might have an access point, a gate at the back end of the property, or a door into a climate control building that you don't have physical eyes on. So you can just be working anywhere inside of storEDGE and you'll know when someone accesses that door or that gate. Okay, before I open it up for questions and answers, I do want to stress one more time for you that our system is very easy to self-install if that's something you're looking to do, and we can provide all those diagrams you need to do it. And our support team are excellent at walking you through any questions you might have in the installation process. So let's go ahead and open it up for questions now. James, do we have any questions out there?
Need to unmute myself. Yes, yes, Mike, great presentation, by the way. So if you have any questions, we've had some come in during the presentation, but if you have any questions, now's your opportunity to write them in, but I will bring up some that we have, Mike. So first question I have is how safe is the cloud-based, or can you expand on the security of it?
Sure. So every cloud-based solution that I know of, but I can speak in particular to our cloud-based solution. The equipment is driven by a Raspberry Pi computer system. It has its own proprietary code that runs it. And because of that, it's not susceptible to any hacking or virus type activity to gain access to the cloud node and try to take control of it. It just can't happen. Okay.
Awesome. another question was, can we install this ourselves?
Yes, absolutely. As I mentioned several times, it is easily self-installed. The keypads themselves take 5 wires that are connected to the controller. A gate has 2 wires that go between the gate motor and the controller. Or if you're doing a door, it's 2 wires from the door strike or the mag lock that operates that locking mechanism at the door back to the controller. We have all the wiring diagrams we can provide for you. We have a quick start guide that shows up with every piece of equipment that comes in the door. And our technicians on the phone can answer any questions you have and can easily walk you through anything that you need to know. So again, it's very easily self-installed. All right.
Absolutely. And Brett has a question, and I'll read your question, Brett, but I also just want to say it a slightly different way. So Brett's specific question says, we have PTI now. What is it like to transfer to you from them? But I'd also like to add to that, just in general, what's it like to move customers from an existing solution over to Storable?
Okay, so the transfer process is really smooth. You've already got PTI systems set up inside of storEDGE, and that means all your tenants already have an existing gate code that's part of storEDGE. All right, they've already been assigned a specific zone or time zone or whatever the PTI system refers to it as. What we are going to need to know is what those numbers equate to. So if you have multiple access zones set up inside of PTI, for example, you might have a 24-hour access zone. You might have a standard operating hours of like 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. and extended operating hours from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. We would just want to know what those zones are and what the hours are associated with them, so we could build those inside of the storEDGE system when we integrate and move you over. When we move you over, the tenant codes are going to stay exactly the same. They're not going to change. What the tenants enter on the keypad is going to change slightly. I believe the PTI system operates one of 2 ways. You either put in a unit number, a hash sign, their code, and a star, or you just enter the code and a star. And with our access control system, it's just their code and the hash sign. That's not anything we can change. That's a requirement of the hardware manufacturer. And by the way, the way a code is entered on a keypad is always a design function of that particular hardware manufacturer's system, so it can never be changed. So that's the only key difference there, is the tenants will have to enter their code with the code plus a hash sign. We have lots of operators that have moved from PTI over to our access control system, and they can send out text messages, they can send out a mass email, they can send out letters to tell the tenants that this is changing and these are the changes. But the surest way for these tenants to know that what they have to do is enter something differently now is obviously when they pull up to the gate and they see a new keypad. We have operators that just put a small laminated sign at the bottom of the keypad that says enter code plus pound sign, and that takes care of it all. It's a very, very smooth process to move from any other operator into storable access control.
Excellent, thank you. Michelle asks, can the system send an email text message to an operator when a tenant has not exited the facility after a set amount of hours? Very interesting question.
That's very true. Okay, so no, it can't. All right, we don't have the ability to say someone came in at 7 p.m. and then we don't see them exit the property again at all for the remainder of the day. I don't know of any operator or any access control system actually that has that functionality, but what she may be alluding to is we do have the ability to provide anti-passback rules inside our access control system. And what that means is this: when someone approaches the facility and they enter their code, that gate opens up and they drive through. If someone happens to tailgate and drive through with them at the exact same time without entering a code on their own, if they try to exit the property, that person who tailgated tries to exit the property, they will not be allowed out of the property. And we can configure the system to send that operator either a text message or an email that says someone's trying to exit the property that did not enter with an authorization code. So we can do that for you, but we can't tell you when they don't leave. Now that's the purpose of that access activity log, that you can filter by not only the tenant, right, but by the access point and the date range and whether it was granted or denied. So you can export that as a CSV or a text file, open it up in Excel or Google Sheets or whatever you use for a spreadsheet program. And you can sort and you can look by date and the access point, and you'll be able to know, all right? And this is a fairly common problem. People enter the property, right? And they might want to spend the night in their unit. I understand that happens. That exit keypad shows when they are not, when they do leave the property. So you can look for every entry, there should be a corresponding exit for that tenant. So you can look at the system and say, oh, so-and-so came in at 10:30 that night, and I don't see them exiting the property at all. Maybe I better check to see if they're spending the night in the unit. Okay?
Absolutely. Great answer. Great question. I know that the majority of people probably on this call are storage users, but David has a good question. That says, does it matter what software we use? For example, SiteLink. Can you speak to what software programs Storable works with?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In terms of management software.
Okay, so as far as the property management system, the facility management software, so the Storable access system works with storEDGE, it works with SiteLink, and it works with Easy Storage Solutions. All right. It doesn't work with any other operator or any other provider of software services for the self-storage industry in the marketplace. It only works with our system. Does that answer that question?
Yes, thank you. Brett said thank you for the great answers. One last question at this point is, does your system alert us when the doors or gates are opened?
So we can configure the system through the use of a door position sensor or a gate sensor that says, hey, this door has been left open for X amount of minutes, whatever the case may be, and can send either a text or an email to the specified phone number or email address to alert you to that door being open. But it requires the use of a hardware, of a door position sensor on the door. And the purpose of a door position sensor, you've probably noticed them before. There's two components to it. One sits at the top of the door. The other one sits at the top of the door jamb, right? And it's a magnetic sensor. And when it's closed, it remains closed. When that door opens, right, that sensor is broken and it can tell that the door is open. And we'll set a timer for it, say a minute, 2 minutes or whatever, or 3 minutes or 5 minutes, whatever you want it to be, right? So that if that sensor doesn't close within that time frame, it'll send you the alert that you're looking for. They do make those type of sensors for gates as well, but typically every time that you have a gate that's opened, it should close unless you've told it to hold the gate open, in which case it'll stay open. And one other thing I want to mention for you too, we do have operators that like to have their gates open specific hours of the day and specific days of the week, and that's not a problem. We can trigger your gate to automatically open at whatever time you want in the morning and automatically close at whatever time you want in the evening. All right. And then the access code for your tenants will still function and open and close that gate as needed outside of those hours that you've told us you want to have it configured for. Okay.
Excellent. And another comment comes in that says, this is great. Thank you. Another question came in and said, will you email this session to us? So Brittany, yes, this is being recorded, and we will get that recording to you. If you have other questions, feel free to, that was the last question that we have. If you have other questions, feel free to send it to the email that Mike has on the bottom of the slide there, salessolutions@storable.com. And we absolutely will reach out to you with any questions you have and help you with anything. So thank you, Brittany, and thank you everyone else that's been on the call today. Mike, would you like to have any final comments for today?
Yeah, sure. I personally want to thank you for attending today's webinar. It's always a pleasure to be able to do a deeper dive into certain aspects of the self-storage industry. Access control is a key component that not a lot of people think of, and I'm really pleased to be able to show you what our access control solution can do for you. I personally, having worked with all the different providers out there, really like the equipment that we have, not just because I work for Storable, but because I can objectively compare it to everybody else in the marketplace and talk to all those other companies. And our system is really, really a good system and really works well in storage. It's a real game changer. So thank you again for attending, and I hope you all have a great day.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and feel free, of course, to join any of our upcoming training sessions. So thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Thank you, Mike.
You bet. Have a great day, people. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.